Anywhere you travel, you can find ghost stories and legends to satisfy your curiosity and provide an insight into the beliefs and fears of cultures past and present. Unless they are genuine, and we're unable to dismiss them as just mental allegories. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there's always something about ghost stories and legends that just captures our imagination and makes us question what lies beyond the veil of this world. In this episode, we'll dive into the spooky world of ghost stories and legends from around the globe. La Sayona, Venezuela. Our first story comes from a South American country, Venezuela. There is a well-known and extensively circulated folklore in Venezuela about a wicked ghost by the name of La Sayona. Although the persona has gone by numerous names, we'll call her Casilda. Casilda resided in a tiny Venezuelan village in the 19th century. She married a kind and gentle man, and the couple eventually had a son. One day, Casilda went swimming in the neighborhood river when a man from the village saw her and started following her. Casilda asked him to leave her alone when she saw him, but he responded that he had only come to warn her of her husband's affair with her mother. She hurried home and discovered the husband sleeping with the child nearby. She was too enraged to acknowledge the truth of the man's lying, so she set fire to the house with her family inside. Casilda then screamed her way to her mother's house and hit her with a machete. Casilda's mother scoffed at her as she refuted the allegations, but Casilda didn't trust her mother. After swearing to murder all of women's dishonest spouses forever after, Casilda was given the name La Sayona, which alludes to a long white undergarment dress she is rumored to have worn. According to legends, Casilda began stalking dishonest men around the streets late at night. She entices men with her enticing looks, or sometimes simply asks for a cigar, and once they fall into her trap, she transforms. Her teeth grows keen and sharp, her hands become clawed, and her eyes turn blood crimson. La Sayona has a terrifying scream that horribly surprises people and makes them stop moving, and only a few live to recount the experience. In one variation, she might even appear to these dishonest men as a loved one. When she captures them, she transforms into a hideous-like creature and either swallows them or leaves their damaged carcasses. Pontianak, Indonesia. There are several stories, animist ghosts, and spirits in Indonesian mythology, and the infamous Pontianak or Kuntilanak is possibly the most well-known. Swamps are seen as spooky locations in Southeast Asian traditions, where ghosts live and frighten the living. According to legend, the region in western Kalimantan, near the confluence of the Kapuas and Landas rivers, was plagued by Pontianaks. The Pontianak is a spiteful ghost who disguises itself as a gorgeous lady and preys on men, children, and defenseless souls. They are among the most formidable and feared ghosts in Indonesian mythology, said to be the ghost of a lady who passed away during childbirth or from a traumatic death. They use their long nails to dismember their prey as ravenous vampires, then eat the internal organs. Ignoring the grave warnings of the local Dayaks, Sarif Abdurrahman Al-Qadri opted to establish a trading post at this marsh-crossing location. Abdurrahman and his workers were quickly confronted by the Pontianaks, who are said to have fired artillery into the wetlands to demolish the region where they had nested. Pontianak, the expanding city, was given a mosque and a trading post. The trade port prospered, and Abdurrahman was appointed to be the first sultan of Pontianak. These spiteful ghosts are still alive and thriving in people's fears. The aroma of drying clothes is thought to bring a Pontianak, thus people do not leave clothing out overnight. The advent of powerful spirits capable of performing dark magic is frequently preceded by a smell comparable to the plumeria flower or the stench of decaying flesh. She might, however, be tamed to turn into the most ideal and gorgeous wife. To build a family with the pretty lady, all one needs to do is drive a nail into the hole at the nape of her neck. La Llorona, Mexico. La Llorona's tale is worth knowing for true horror story enthusiasts. Children in Mexico have been brought up being terrified of La Llorona, a weeping lady whose sin during her lifetime have imprisoned her spirit on Earth where she torments kids. She's the stuff of folklore, a terrifying bedtime tale with roots dating back hundreds of years. In some interpretations, she's a spirit, whereas in others, she's an everlasting wanderer, not quite dead, but also not quite living. The narrative differs slightly according to the storyteller, but the idea is simple. A long time ago, a woman named Maria married an affluent guy with whom she had 2 children. Later, their marriage stuck a snag. Her spouse spent progressively less time at home, and when he did, he focused solely on the kids. This continued on, and she begins getting worried with thoughts filling her head until she finally finds a reason for his behavior. Maria had seen him with another woman. In the fit of rage, Maria drowned her 2 children out of anger, but she quickly realizes what she's done. She went to the water and flung herself in, hoping to suffer the same fate as her sons. However, heaven refused Maria, causing her to be destined to roam the earth in constant mourning. She is the weeping woman, La Llorona. People who have seen her claim she was strolling about, soaked in an all-white gown, and she may be heard sobbing for the children she murdered. The words, my children, what have I done to my children?" is frequently heard as she passes by. Some claim that she steals other children as she goes, mistaking them for her own. Children around the Mexican border are raised with her legend, which may be traced back to myths about many Aztec female spirits. They recall attempting to ask La Llorona to show up in the mirror by repeating her name 3 times in a pitch-black toilet, much like Bloody Mary in America. The Headless Horseman, Germany. The urban legend of the Headless Horseman may be recognizable to you from Johnny Depp's movie Sleepy Hollow, but did you know that it may have started in a German folktale? Headless horsemen are common in Germany and Europe. Outside of the Celtic realm, they're frequently shown as hunters on horseback, and they're commonly accused of unexpected windstorms and odd sounds. The ghoul's background is typically the same over the world, regardless of how he appears. Those who commit criminal acts will die headless. From the 1600s, the Brothers Grimm documented German legends featuring a headless rider. The narrative is explained in the German legends of the Brothers Grimm. A dressed-in woman went out on a Sunday morning to harvest acorns in the woodland known as Lost Waters. When she was harvesting, she heard a hunting horn and a crash. The woman saw the same horseman in the woods a few days later, but this time, he was holding his head. The rider addressed her as Hans Jagenteufel and inquired as to whether she had permission to take the acorns. The latter said that she was not causing any damage and indicates that the foresters were quite generous to the needy. This time, the Headless Horseman spared her life, but he did give her a warning not to follow in his footsteps. He had been doomed to this shape since he had committed theft as a youngster. The Headless Horseman became a cautionary tale in German culture. The Headless Horseman serves as a reminder to the living not to steal, or they may end up in the same fate as he did. In another German story, situated in Braunschweig, a Headless Horseman, known as the Wild Huntsman, blows a horn, warning hunters not to ride the following day, due to fear of a catastrophe. In certain German renditions of the Headless Horseman, he hunts out those who have committed acts of murder. In others, he possesses a pack of black dogs with flaming tongues. Headless Horseman is actually a melting pot of stories, as it becomes featured in numerous European folklores. The picture became renowned in America thanks to the legend of Sleepy Hollow, a short story by Washington Irving. So have you heard of any adaptations of the Headless Horseman? Which is the one that you've heard of? Which is your favorite or most believed? Let me know in the comments below. Preda, Thailand. Do you believe the saying, "You reap what you sow"? According to Thai mythology, evil individuals would reincarnate as a stereotypical hungry ghost, or Preda, a very terrifying nighttime monster. These entities are the tormented souls of once living humans who have been forced to endure tremendously and have an unquenchable thirst for something unpleasant. For some unlucky Preda, it may be a yearning to consume their own blood. There are various distinct kinds of preda, each one for the consequence of a unique form of misbehavior. For instance, being overly stingy or reaping the benefits of others while they're alive. The thought of suffering for all eternity in your birthday suit as a tortured night monster is a horrifying notion, not only for the Thais. This kind of spirit exists under several names in a variety of Asia's old beliefs. Pretas had long necks, slim physiques with bloated big bellies, dark complexion, and palm-sized hands. They have a mouth the size of a sewing needle's eye and a height comparable to a palm tree, which indicates the reason that they're constantly hungry. On a chilly, foggy night in Thailand, the high-pitched whines are said to be pretas prowling through the night. Pretas seldom touch people. They're largely unseen to the living, and they seek relief from their misery by participating in merit-making rituals at temples where benevolent Buddhists give sacrifices to them. When the preta has earned sufficient merit, he or she is released from the preta position. Pretas originated in Indian faiths and were absorbed in the East Asian religions with the introduction of Buddhism. The notion of the preta began with the belief that it represents a person's soul after death, but they eventually evolved into a fleeting condition between death and getting karmic rebirth in line with the person's destiny. The relatives of the dead must perform several rites to help the suffering spirits into its next existence so it can enter the cycle of karmic reincarnation. If they don't participate in these 1-year-long burial rituals, the soul becomes a preta for the remainder of eternity. Spottings of pretas are widely documented in Thai news, and like a medieval cautionary tale, they're used to teach young people about the consequences of poor behavior. Many temples still use preta sculptures to urge people to be courteous. These 5 ghost stories and legends from around the world are just a glimpse into the rich tapestry of folklore and traditions. Apart from being used to frighten people, these stories appear as moral lessons for generations. And who knows, maybe they will inspire you to delve deeper into a world of ghosts and explore the more frightening legends and stories. The next time you hear a strange noise in the night, or feel a chill run down your spine, just remember that you may not be alone. Which of these stories mentioned in this video is your favorite? Do you know any other versions of these stories? Does your country have any popular ghost stories and legends? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching our Late Night Top 5 channel. We're a new channel and would love to have your support by subscribing, liking, or simply dropping a comment down below. To watch more interesting late night videos, click the links to continue watching more.